You know, it's just human nature to want to figure things out, to understand the world around us. It's kind of what we do. But what happens when we find places that just don't play by the rules? Places that, even with all our incredible science, we just can't explain.
So today, we're going to take a tour of some of the most baffling spots on the planet and even off of it. We're going to look at these incredible phenomena and ask the big question, why are some mysteries just so darn hard to solve?
Let's start right here on solid ground. We're talking about geological formations that honestly look like they should be impossible. Things that really make you question the natural forces that we think we understand. And our first stop takes us to Bohol Island in the Philippines. It's home to a landscape that seriously looks like it was plucked from another planet. So what are we looking at here? Well, there are almost 1,800 of these nearly identical cone-shaped hills. They're actually made of limestone from ancient coral reefs. And that name, the Chocolate Hills, it comes from the dry season, when all that grass turns this deep, rich brown, and the whole place looks like a massive, and I mean massive, box of chocolates. Okay, but this is where it gets really weird. The official scientific explanation is that they were formed by millions of years of erosion and weathering. And sure, that makes sense on the surface. But think about it. Erosion is messy, it's chaotic. It doesn't normally create thousands of almost perfectly identical cones. It's that uniformity, that strange repeating pattern that just doesn't quite add up. All right, let's head over to the deserts of Saudi Arabia. We're going from a whole landscape of mysterious hills to just one singular rock. That's maybe even more puzzling. Meet the Al Nazala Rock. It's this enormous boulder, perfectly balanced, and it weighs several tons. But that's not the crazy part. The real mystery is that split, a perfectly straight, impossibly clean cut running right down the center. It seriously looks like someone came at it with a giant laser. So what's the deal? Geologists have theories, of course. They think things like freeze-thaw cycles and tectonic stress could have cracked the rock along a natural weak point. But the sheer precision of that split has a lot of people saying it's hard to believe that this is purely natural. And that's the debate, right? Is it a 1 in a billion geological fluke or something else entirely? Okay, so we've seen some pretty strange rocks. Now let's shift gears and look at things that are actively happening. Phenomena we can literally watch in real time but still can't completely figure out. For this, we're going to Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela, which is home to a weather event so relentless, they call it the everlasting storm. Just let that number sink in for a minute, 160 nights a year. We're talking about a thunderstorm that can rage for 10 hours straight, night after night, producing up to 1 million lightning strikes every single year. It's a storm that basically never stops. Now, the main theory is that it's a perfect storm of conditions. You've got warm, humid air from the Caribbean Sea crashing into cool air from the Andes Mountains right over the lake. But is that really the whole story? Some scientists think there might be more to it, pointing to uranium and oil deposits under the lake that could be supercharging the atmosphere. What we know for sure is that it's so incredibly reliable, sailors have actually used it as a natural lighthouse to navigate for centuries. How cool is that? Okay, from a storm that never ends, let's go to a river that seems to, well, just end. Welcome to the Devil's Kettle in Minnesota. So picture this. The Brule River is flowing along, and it hits this big rock formation and splits in two. One half just carries on like a normal waterfall, no big deal. But the other half pours into this deep, dark hole called the Kettle and vanishes. And here's the really bizarre part. People have tossed everything you can imagine in there, dyes, ping pong balls, even GPS trackers, and not a single thing has ever been seen again. Even though, just a little ways downstream, the river's flow seems to be back to its full volume. So that's the big, glaring question, isn't it? The water obviously has to be coming out somewhere, rejoining the river through some kind of underground plumbing. But what kind of geological system is so violent and complex that it can just pulverize logs and swallow trackers without leaving a single clue? We still have absolutely no idea. Okay, time to zoom out. Way, way out. We're leaving Earth behind for a bit. Because trust me, the universe has some mysteries that make our puzzles here at home look kind of small. Our first stop in space is the North Pole of Saturn. It's home to a storm that is just as mind-bogglingly huge as it is perfectly geometric. Just to give you a sense of scale here, This hexagonal storm is about 20,000 miles wide. You could line up two Earths side by side inside of it. It's a gigantic, perfectly six-sided weather system that has been churning for decades, and it's on a scale that's just hard to even wrap your head around. So how on, well, Saturn, does a storm form a perfect hexagon? Scientists have a few good ideas, but nobody's certain. It might be a strange wave pattern in the planet's super-fast jet streams. Or maybe it's caused by different layers of the atmosphere spinning at different speeds. It could even be a natural result of how fluids behave on a giant spinning planet. The bottom line, we're still trying to figure it out. All right, for our last mystery, we're traveling over 1,400 light-years away to a star that astronomers have nicknamed Tabby's Star. And the reason it's so mysterious is that it keeps dimming in a way we have never, ever seen before. Let me put this in perspective for you. When Jupiter, the biggest planet in our solar system, passes in front of our sun, it blocks about 1% of the sun's light. That's it. But whatever is passing in front of Tabby's star is blocking up to 22% of its light. That is a huge, completely unprecedented drop in brightness. Naturally, this led to some wild speculation. The most exciting idea? An alien megastructure. Maybe something like a Dyson sphere being built around the star to harvest its energy. Now, as cool as that sounds, the more likely answer is probably a gigantic, uneven cloud of dust and cosmic junk. But even then, we have no good explanation for where a cloud that massive and weirdly shaped would have come from, so the mystery continues. So, from strange hills in the Philippines to impossible storms on other planets, it's pretty clear that our universe is just packed full of questions. These places remind us just how much we still have left to discover. And that's what really drives science, isn't it? The hunt for answers. But as we've seen today, sometimes when you solve one puzzle, you just find an even bigger, more complicated mystery hiding right behind it. So the real question isn't just what the answers are, it's what amazing new questions those answers will lead us to next.